I've been craving a particular kind of biscuit cookie. So I've got all these warming spices, cinnamon, allspice, nutmeg, ginger. These right here, these are cloves from Bali, handpicked from a friend of mine. All right. Okay, now I'm gonna cream white sugar, brown sugar, and butter together, and then add some vanilla. Ooh, it's super fluffy. I incorporated the dry into the wet a little bit at a time, and I'm gonna put it all together in a ball and chill it for an hour. So hey, while I'm flattening this out, I gotta get some real talk up into this. So all the spices that I'm using here, the clove, the allspice, the cinnamon, even the sugar, there's a history there. The spice trade among all the different continents, Asia, Africa, Europe, and the New World, is inextricably linked with slavery. The reason why we're able to have all these beautiful fusion dishes and use all of these beautiful spices is because of the suffering of human beings who were captured, taken away from their communities and their lives and their livelihood and their freedoms, and deemed less than human. I do not take that lightly. I was reading something recently that was talking about the triangular spice trade, slave trade, where human beings were taken from Africa, brought to the New World to be traded. So again, these are human beings, black brothers and sisters, human beings who were brought to the New World to be traded. And do you know what they were worth? They were deemed equivalent to 2 shipments of sugar. You know the sugar that is such a hot commodity right now and it's hard to get in our stores? Anybody who's into genealogy, if you can imagine any of your ancestors being deemed the equivalent of twice their weight, twice their body weight in sugar, does that register anything for you? So what makes me think about in the current climate is the rioting that's occurring and how people are quick to say, this isn't the way to do it. What are they thinking? They're ruining property. Keep in mind that a lot of the ancestors of folks who are incredibly traumatized right now and angry and disappointed and frustrated and in a lot of anguish, keep in mind that their ancestors were considered to be the equivalent of twice their body weight in sugar. And then think about more modern policies. For instance, corporations having the same rights as people. Think of how twisted that is from the perspective of somebody who, whether in actuality or symbolically in the society, their ancestors were deemed commodities. So there's a lot to process there. Good thing these biscuits are bittersweet. I just want to put some of that in the consciousness, because I think it's really important to consider that all the things that we're able to do right now, for instance, myself, I'm able to continue working, I'm able to put food on my table, I'm able to make amazing things and try foods that my parents would never have ever deemed to, never imagined to try. I'm able to do that right here. And I have to give thanks to people who had struggled in the past to make it so, and to my brothers and sisters, my black brothers and sisters who are out there right now trying to fight for this some more. So I wish them love, compassion, I wish them change in society, but it's got to be us who help out. I didn't even mention the biggest slap in the face. You know, I said that human beings who were enslaved and brought to the New World, to the Caribbean, were deemed equivalent to 2 shipments of sugar. Because the ships had to go and triangulate to different parts of the world, they didn't even have to provide the second half of the sugar shipment back to France for an entire year, interest-free. Do you know anything these days that's interest-free? What a slap in the face. But like I said, keep in mind that all the food we're able to make today is because of a great deal of history of suffering, and also of resiliency, and of making do with what we have, and of community, and of coming together, and of continuing to fight on, continuing to have children and descendants despite the horrible lot that our black brothers and sisters had been given. So yeah, we weren't there on the slave ships. We weren't there, you know, picking up and trading spices. But we're still benefiting from a great deal right now. And I hadn't thought about talking about this when I first wanted to make these cookies. I was just craving these cookies. But, you know, I've been reflecting more, and I think that we owe it to our black brothers and sisters to have more self-reflection and to recognize things that we often take for granted and things that might help us understand even a tiny bit of how to humanize an experience, and how not to dismiss, and how to share and show our black brothers and sisters that they are not alone, and that there's some aspects of their experience that we can relate to and understand, and that there's others that are unique to their experience. And I want to make sure to honor that. When we're silent, that speaks volumes. And so it's necessary for us to speak up now. I want to show that I'm willing to take a hit. I'm willing to have uncomfortable conversations. I'm willing to be disappointed by people that I've loved all my life, friends that I've developed over a long period of time. I'm willing to be frustrated with them. I'm willing to teach. I'm willing to humble myself and learn. I'm willing to take a little bit of the burden. And in the middle of all that, I need to make sure I'm eating well, taking care of myself. We are in a crisis of the pandemic in addition. So let's be kind to ourselves, be kind to each other. Make sure not to invalidate what other people are feeling. We cannot tell somebody to be quiet until we've been able to listen. Alright, I totally didn't plan this, but this was on the top rack. These were on the bottom rack. Look which one's got more burnt.